lead editor David Burdett.
So, I don't know if everybody else is watching it, but the Book of Boba Fett episode 6, not going to do any spoilers, but oh my word, what a Star Wars fan's fever dream of fan fiction, everything, cameos everywhere. I mean, it's it's everything a Star Wars fan would want, beyond having Boba as much in it. Like, he's a little too absent for the show that is about him. So
the impression I'm getting from seeing people on Twitter and Reddit is they're not that impressed with the Book of Boba Fett. You seem to be the only person I've heard so far who is pleased with it so far. Everybody else is like, yo, where's Boba Fett? Yo, why all these cameos? They're not working.
I don't know who you're talking to, because all I'm seeing on my side of Twitter is everybody likes the 5th and 6th episodes, and the 1 through 4 that was mainly about Boba is what they are frustrated with.
Yeah, that's what I've been seeing.
Yeah,
but also they are disappointed that like the Boba Fett himself is just so kind of not what they wanted him to be. Yeah.
I've heard that 5 and 6, I guess episode 5 and 6 are closer to the Mandalorian, like the episodes that could have came from the Mandalorian or something.
Not to spoil it, but they more or less are. Like, I'm kind of just sitting there wondering why these are even episodes in this show.
But apparently they're the best ones. Okay, so
yeah,
that's fascinating. Editor Noah Ansaldua.
What's up? Been playing a lot of Apex, and I'm just getting ready for season 12. It's gonna be pretty great, I think.
Defiance
I'm hoping.
Is the name, right? Or
Defiance. Yeah, it's looking good. Mad Mag's looking pretty interesting. Maybe a little broken, but all new legends are at this point, so Who cares? Just pile them on.
It's new stuff in online games in general.
Yeah. The Witch Queen's looking insanely good as of today with the TWAB. And
that would be the Thursday update for those non-Destiny 2 players.
True. This week at Bungie, their weekly blog.
Yes. My name is Anthony Shelton, YouTube content creator. I apologize for last week. I was recovering from food poisoning, so I just was not on my A game. I was on like my C minus game. I was like out of it. So my brain is here today. I am ready to go. I got a week to recover.
Okay, we traded places.
Yeah, so don't worry. We got you, David. We got you. Y'all had me last week. I got you this week. Noah got you this week. We're all good. So let us go into our icebreaker. Let's get the fun stuff going. I want to know, why did you pick your online name? I feel like our online aliases are something, we kind of put some thought into sometimes. Maybe not, but David, why did you pick your online name?
Okay, so my name for just about everything that I do is Split End 89. I've heard so many different things. Most of them go with, why are you talking about hair, the ends of your hair with it? That's what everybody goes to with it. However, here's what it actually came from. When I was in high school playing football, I played wide receiver.
Got it.
Another term for wide receiver is split end. That is the specific wide receiver position that I played. I was the split off end of the line. So I played split end. My birth year was 89. One of my favorite wide receivers at that point had the number 89, and my birth year is 89. So 89 ended up being perfect for it. Put it on the end of that, and it just stuck.
To be fair,
I ended up liking it.
There you go. To be fair, I mean, your hair, you rock your hair. You do it well. So for it to actually deal with hair, it wouldn't sound too implausible. Noah, why did you pick your online name?
So I go by Vuvuzela21 on Twitter and Twitch and pretty much everything also. Vuvuzela is like the instrument from the World Cup, like FIFA World Cups, but also that's not what it's from.
Oh.
I mean, yes, that's what it is. But like in Destiny 2, the vanilla campaign, there's a mission where you're doing something for Asher Mir, and he's like this annoying, awoken old man, basically. and he thinks he's smarter than everyone, and so he's talking crap about Commander Zavala, and he's like, whatever that Vuvuzela said, and I was just like, that's so good. I gotta save that and keep that forever.
So what you're telling me is this is is just completely an inside joke, considering no one else is going to be able to experience this Destiny 2 content.
Exactly. Like, no one is ever really going to see this
joke
again.
is gone. You have to look it up on YouTube and maybe it's there.
Yeah.
Gosh.
And then 21 at the end of it is just my September 21st is my birthday, so perfect for that. The 21 at the end. It's also my favorite number. I like blackjack, I guess.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good point. So you just chose that name after Destiny. So you really haven't had that name for that long.
I mean, 2014.
You've been on the internet for
2017.
2017?
Yeah, well, before that it was like awesome, but with the lisp, it was just awesome. I don't know why, and that's just kind of cringy at this point.
Should have talked about
I kind of hate
name.
it. No, I don't know. Yeah, we don't have to talk about that.
That's awesome.
You're so awesome, Noah. You're so awesome.
Oh,
yeah.
So my online, so I've had several. I'm pretty much sticking with I Am A Shelton at this point. But the one I want to talk about that I had for, God, that's like 16 years was Sir Kibble 2. So back when the internet existed, GameFAQs came along. And so this was in my junior year of high school. Signed up for GameFAQs for the first time, and I was like, oh, what's going to be my name? At that point, I was a Kirby's Dream Land 2 fanatic, so much to the point that I maxed out the high score, and you basically, when you do that, you get extra lives for every point you accumulate. So I was like, I could beat the whole game without getting hit, except Sir Kibble. That boomerang throwing character would be the one enemy that could hit me because for whatever reason, he'd just be in the right spot at the right time, and sometimes I would forget. So I decided to give my online alias over to Sir Kibble because he deserved the honor of being the one to be able to hit me on my undefeated runs. I put the Q behind it because somebody already had Sir Kibble. So I just threw a 2 on it. It sounded fine, Sir Kibble 2, just a bunch of syllables and then a simple 2 at the end to end it. I do have a funny story, though. Nobody on the internet had Sir Kibble 2. Everywhere I signed up for, Sir Kibble 2 was always available. It wasn't until I finally got a PlayStation 4. That was my first PlayStation I had. Signed up for PlayStation Network. Decided, I was like, yeah, Sir Kibble 2. Duh. Of course it's going to be named. Type it in. This name has already been taken. Who the frick has Sir Kibble 2? After like 15 years, like nobody's had that name and somebody's got Sir Kibble 2. I've never signed up to PlayStation Network in any form before that. I have no idea how anybody had Sir Kibble 2. At that moment, I was like, am I famous and I don't know it? Did somebody snag my name? My God. So I had to use Sir Kibble 23. I just decided to throw a 23 behind it at that point. And from then on, that screwed up the Sir Kibble 2 run. Very unfortunate. So that's my favorite alias that I have dropped for professional reasons. So let's move on to our trending news segment. This is just more acquisitions. There's so much to talk about with this one, even though it wasn't as big as Activision Blizzard's purchase from Microsoft. This one is Sony buying Bungie for $3.
The difference between big and impactful.
Yeah, I mean. Let's not pretend Microsoft's purchase wasn't impactful, but this one was.
Oh yeah,
this one was impactful too. Sony bought Bungie for $3.6 billion. That's pretty much all you need to know. Destiny will still remain multi-platform. Bungie still remains independent. So, I mean, everything seems to look good. Is it shocking to you that Bungie allowed themselves to be acquired in the first place, though? Noah, why don't you are the Destiny Bungie guy, so why don't you lead us off? Do you think it is weird that Bungie allowed themselves to be acquired in the first place?
I will say it's a little like it was jarring to me just on upon hearing it because they just got free of Activision's reign and they were all gung ho about okay, we got this new investment, we're getting a office in Amsterdam for like more global like marketing and like things like that. I think it was like a marketing office mainly over there. Um, and they're expanding their Bellevue location to be a little bit bigger and to house a lot. Like I think it was like 250% bigger than their the expansion made the studio 250% bigger. So they were going to be able to house a lot more employees there. They were going to be able to work on the new IP there. And I was like, okay, they're going to be a full-fledged like independent studio that's just going to be what they do. And then this came along, and I was like, okay, well, I mean, they're still kind of doing the same thing.
It felt like it was a little painful to you.
Yeah. And I was like, I guess Sony, because after like reading, okay, like, yeah, they're going to still be independent publishers. They're going to still have full creative freedom and like be able to publish their games multi-platform wherever players are. That's interesting. And also it's like, okay, well, how much are they like actually getting out of Sony sort of being hovering over them? And I guess it's just the main benefit comes in the access to Sony Television and Sony Pictures, like Sony Movies divisions, and that's great. It was just really weird to see them immediately say, "We're independent from now on," but now we're gonna go see what Sony wants to do with us, and we're gonna just go on. But this deal does seem to be in the best benefit in the best interest of like Bungie's corporate level and also the employees, because like the big thing that just came out like yesterday or maybe this morning, I can't remember, is that $1.2 billion of the deal is purely for like employee retention. And I think that's huge. And that money is obviously not going to go straight to just like everyone like equally, but it will be like divvied out over the next few years. And like the employees will certainly get a cut of that, like the ground level employees, so to speak. So that's huge. And yeah, while I was like jarred and a little dismayed at hearing this at first, I'm kind of like coming around to it because it does seem to be like a good move for Bungie and Sony, like 100% Sony. Like Sony's just getting all upside here, I think. Yeah.
Well, I guess the biggest thing that we have to start with, this was not everybody on the internet immediately said, well, this is their answer to Activision. No, they didn't get on the phone in 2 weeks and close this deal. That's not how anything works. They were working on this deal for about 5 months beforehand. I actually heard talking with some different people that Microsoft, they were actually, Bungie was shopping themselves as early as some point last year.
Oh, yeah.
Bungie was looking. Bungie was talking with Microsoft. The difference between these deals really is that from the sounds of it, Microsoft wanted to go fully exclusive with these IP, with IP and stuff. The people at Bungie didn't want to do that. So what did they do? They went to PlayStation, and PlayStation was willing to give them the rights to all of that. And not to steal any of Noah's notes, PlayStation has a pretty big lack of live service. This is a huge deal for them because live service is something they don't have at all, really. And they have arguably the experts, the premium studio in this space on how to build live service. You can't compete. Sony is in no position to compete with Call of Duty, to compete with Fortnite, to compete with Rainbow Six, to compete with Apex Legends. All of these different publishers have great live service games, have people pulled in. That's what Sony's been missing because it's tough when, you release God of War every 3 years, you release Horizon every 4 years. You need something to keep people engaged. And yeah, it's great to have like Microsoft where they've got all these different content coming every 3 months or whatnot is what their plan is. But having a live service game certainly makes it a little easier to do that stuff because then you can focus a little more on, okay, let's see if we can just put this expansion out here in this 3-month period to help get us to the next game, as opposed to, oh, we've got to build an entire new game. And Sony's going nuts with this because in their earnings call, they said that they're planning on 10 live service games.
Before
I'd really like to
2026.
know who is doing these. That's one of the biggest things. One of the interesting things that I read, I kind of expounded on it with somebody, but just this shows the difference in mentality between PlayStation and Xbox when it comes to what they're trying to do when they buy these studios. Sony isn't looking for IP when they're buying these studios. Sony's not looking for they want to find they're going to be happy if they get a hold of some good IP with it. Sony's looking for talent. It's one of the reasons Sony is one of the leaders in gaming revenue. Why? Because their teams put out great stuff. Microsoft has been behind it. Like, if you go and look at somebody put, like, after the Activision deal, they put up Microsoft in 2017, Microsoft in 2022, like 5 studios. 5. And it was partially because they were closing down some of their studios and whatnot from where they hadn't been doing good, like Lionhead and whatnot. But they did not. Microsoft had no valuable IP. As much as people are like, oh, they're buying studios, it's not really that they were wanting the studios even specifically. They needed notable IP to make Xbox desirable. Having Skyrim, having Starfield, having Doom, having Call of Duty, all these kind of things makes the Xbox desirable. If you just bought the teams, didn't have IP, nobody would give a crap about Xbox. PlayStation doesn't have that problem. They have God of War, they have Horizon, they have all these other different things. They want talent to continue to grow. Yeah, they want to grow more universes and whatnot, but they want talent to expand past the single player game mentality that everybody thinks they only have. And the thing I really, really enjoyed was reading Jim Ryan's interview that they did over at, I believe it's Game Industry.
Yeah, gamesindustry.biz.
Gamesindustry.biz with Chris Dring. If you read that reads like everybody has trashed on Jim Ryan over the last year. And reading that sounds like an executive who has looked over the entire year of his new console launch and looked at it and said, okay, what can we do better from here? How can I do better from here? And like, that's exciting to me because that means Sony understands that they're going to get left in the dust if they don't make some changes. And instead of freaking out and pulling an EA, let's make our studio BioWare, who's only done single player stuff, let's make them do a live service game. Instead of freaking out and making Sony Santa Monica build a live service game, is okay, no. Let's let them keep doing this good stuff and make all this great money for us. And let's go get Bungie over here. Let's make some deals with people like Deviation and Haven Studios and Firewalk. Let's get some rising talent. Let's get them in a place where they can make some good stuff. And then they're like, okay, well, Bungie's over here wanting some money. Let's let them show them how to do this since they have the expertise and the tech to do it. So that's sorry, too long didn't read. I think Bungie was a perfect buy, and it really does show a lot of what Sony's looking at.
Good, Noah.
Yeah, so I think that another big thing is that Naughty Dog, Sucker Punch, I think I can't remember, but Naughty Dog and Sucker Punch for sure are beefing up their like multiplayer live service type teams. So I think they are to some extent saying, yeah, y'all should go make a multiplayer game. Sony is like, giving that mandate down. And yeah, the brain share from Bungie, like saying, okay, this is how we do this. This is maybe how you should model yourself, like in the future. I think that's huge, and I just wanted to say that. Like, I think Naughty Dog and Sucker Punch and like big, like single player game creators are kind of being told, yeah, y'all need to find ways to make this last a little bit longer. And we've seen that with like Ghost of Tsushima's like amazing Legends mode.
It's phenomenal.
And if you just have someone like Bungie being like, all right, so like let's make it a model that we can sustain for like years to come, like give their little advice, I think that's huge for that, because that game's already great on its own. It's already a standalone title you can buy for like $20 or whatever, and keeping that going would be dope. And I think that's like the plan, at least for Sucker Punch.
Well, people forget they already did something similar to this with Insomniac. Insomniac are masters at doing multiple projects at the same time. Like they know how to structure their team so you don't leave any stone unturned. I guarantee you Insomniac has been showing these other studios how to do this multi-management, do all of this different stuff. There's a reason that Sony hasn't necessarily gone out and bought a lot of studios until now, is they didn't need to, because they just were expanding those teams and building those teams bigger. Because, Cory Barlog's not even involved in God of War Ragnarok. He's making his own new IP. So that they're figuring out how to move all these things around. Now you've got S-tier Bungie at making live service in there. Man, I'm just really excited to see what gets come up with, because there's some really cool stuff that they're going to be able to. I mean, the creativity that these teams have is going to make some great stuff.
Introducing the Sony content vault.
Yep.
That would be awful.
That's otherwise known as Spartacus. Spartacus is our lockdown system.
I want to expand on the point you were talking about, David, because Sony's console plan has always been the traditional console plan. We're going to have great exclusives, and that's going to sell the consoles, and they didn't really have anything else beyond that, which it makes them money, but we have to remember, in all of Sony's arms, PlayStation is the strongest piece of Sony. It's the biggest money-making piece of all of Sony. It's not the TVs, it's not the movies, it's not all that stuff.
Nope.
It is PlayStation. And as a publicly traded company, PlayStation still has the, I guess, they have to keep that money going and figure out ways to expand those financial means. And it's not going to be by having more exclusives to sell the console. They got the exclusives. They got God of War, Horizon, Spider-Man, all those. People love them. People are going to buy them. And so it was interesting to see this move, because it was clear to me, at least, after thinking about it, they want to turn Sony Interactive Entertainment into a type of EA and Ubisoft, where they're not worried about making these live service games exclusive. They're okay with putting them multiplat, because there's a lot more money that could be funneled into Sony if they have a multi-platform game. You got the single-player games, the exclusive games that are going to be there to get people to buy the console. There's some profit there for Sony. I think it's in their digital console. I forget which PS5 is the one that does make some profit. I think it's the digital one. But either way, there's going to be some profit there over time. But it's not going to be enough.
It's always your software.
Let's go multiplat and be okay with it. We don't need everything to be exclusive. The meme, that people were saying, like, you don't spend $3.6 billion to keep your keep your games multiplat. In Sony's case, yes, that's exactly what you do, because they're not worried about the game being exclusive, because all the money, especially with Destiny, it's already there. It's already coming. So now Sony gets a piece of that pie. Now we get news that there's going to be 10 live service games, and not all of them are going to work. We know that, but there's going to be at least 10 before 2026. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of money, especially for the good ones.
They need that expertise.
Yeah.
They want them to be good.
Yes.
That's the biggest thing.
And talking about this, like, not as the clapback to Activision's acquisition, but I don't know, it kind of does fit up perfectly, because Bungie is working on the upcoming, like, hero shooter that they were hiring for, and Christopher Barrett's heading up that. And, like, that to me, that just sounds like, okay, Overwatch killer. Like, that's exactly what that is, especially with Overwatch being, like, sort of on the ropes as it is right now, like, with weird development things going on, and Overwatch 2 might not even be coming out. What's that?
Overwatch, I think it, like... Overwatch is fine. Overwatch will be fine.
But also Bungie shooter, I don't know, it's kind of like the best feeling shooters have come from them, and, like, Destiny 2, regardless of what you think about, like, the loops and the in-game stuff, probably has the best gunplay of any game on the market.
Until they vault that.
They won't vault the gunplay. And that's the thing, is, like, with, a stripped down hero-based shooter, you have, like, all the opportunity to showcase just how good the gunplay is without any, like, like grind to get there, which there is no grind to get there in Destiny because the gunplay is good straight out the gate. But like, you know, so to speak.
I think the possible live service I'm most excited about is whatever's coming out of Deviation, because it's former Destiny and Call of Duty developers. Believe it's actually one of the previous heads of one of the Call of Duty games or studios. I just can't remember. I just can't remember who it specifically is, but
That sounds interesting.
Well, if people are still thinking of this as a clapback to Microsoft's acquisition of Activision Blizzard, I'm sorry. That is a sorry clapback. Bungie was sold for $3.6 billion. Microsoft acquired a $68.7 billion Call of Duty, Overwatch, World of Warcraft, and all those other IP. That's not really a clapback at that kind of purchase. Like, let's be real. Let's not go down that train, because Call of Duty still retains a huge player base. Overwatch, I don't care what people think about it right now. Overwatch 2 will be back, and people will play it because there are a lot of Overwatch. We're just burned out with Overwatch right now. We're waiting for Overwatch 2. People will come back to it. World of Warcraft, steady for over 15 years. And people are still loving it. Diablo 4, yeah, people are looking forward to that. And then you got the next Elder Scrolls coming. You got Starfield coming. Yeah, this wasn't a clapback. This, like, if this was not Sony's response to that. Absolutely not. Not only was the time short enough, it just wasn't big enough to be able to do it.
There's technically no way to clap back at that. But as far as impact goes, I'm not going to say it's going to have the exact same kind of impact, but it's a lot closer in terms of impact for the brand as it is. It's not as big, but it can be almost as impactful for Sony and their business.
Oh, it's not almost as impactful. It is as impactful for Sony because of all the things that the future holds for Sony in that regard. I feel like we could talk about this a lot more. We only got 11 minutes left in this segment.
We could.
So let's go on. Maybe depending on how long the Apples to Apples segment goes, we'll return to this. But let's move on to the other huge topic, which Ubisoft is over here just making people angry at the way they are being so audacious about NFTs. So Ubisoft basically puts out an interview. I forget who the interview was with, but the big quote that's been circulating around is gamers don't get it in regards to NFTs, because Ubisoft is still going forward with all this NFTs. While everybody else is not, Ubisoft is still pushing forward and saying gamers don't get it. So here's the quote. I forget who was being interviewed, but the quote said, "I think gamers don't get what a digital secondary market can bring to them. For now, because of the current situation and context of NFTs, gamers really believe it's first destroying the planet, and second, just a tool for speculation. But what we are seeing first is the end game," we being Ubisoft. "The end game is about giving players the opportunity to resell their items once they're finished with them or they're finished playing the game itself." David, do gamers just really not get it?
No, we totally get it. Running stupid practices and you're being stupid. It's really hard to surprise me when it comes to. I love Ubisoft. They've brought me some of my favorite franchises. One of my favorite franchises of all time is Splinter Cell. Of course, let's not even get into Splinter Cell. Thank goodness we're at least getting a remake, and I hope to goodness it's good. But they're making so many decisions at this point beyond just this NFT stuff that just flabbergast me. Like all of this with making almost all of their games live service, moving into all live service for games. Like Assassin's Creed, I guess, is supposed to become live service. We already saw what they did to Ghost Recon with Breakpoint when it came out being buggy as all get outs. It sounds like the plan for Far Cry is to go live service at some point. I don't want those. Can people stop taking franchises that I love and deciding they want to like just completely change them? Like, I'm fine with spin-offs. I'm fine with with giving me something new in that space. Don't take some. If people don't like it, it's not because, oh, we just had the wrong franchise for it. Sometimes it just sucks.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. It's the same kind of thing with movies. We all know what happened with DC and Justice League and all of this kind of stuff, and they doubled down with some of the stuff. I'm like, come on, people. Sometimes you're just rush things and you didn't think it through. And that's the problem, is when people start rushing in on fads and trying to capture the market on certain things of money and stuff, what generally ends up is you're stuck there holding the bag, and you've usually gotten rid of so much goodwill, as well as just you've stepped over all kinds of franchises. It just destroys it. I believe it was Daniel Craig when he was asked about if there should be a woman James Bond. And I think that's completely fine. I have no problem with it.
Absolutely.
What he said, though, was, I don't care. Start making good woman parts. Ubisoft, just start making good games. That's all I'm asking for. Start making good stuff, and maybe we will stop caring about this other stuff. You're not losing money because you didn't stick an NFT in your game. You're losing money because you're changing your business in a way that the gamers don't like. And this is not endearing to you anymore. Have you seen all of these companies within 24 to 48 hours having to backtrack on their NFT announcements? It's ridiculous. Yeah. That's not the way to go. Saying we don't get it only makes us hate you more.
Yeah.
It feels like one of those people who have this grand idea and they're trying to get other people to understand the grand idea, and everybody else is seeing the other side of the grand idea, but they're so focused on the end goal of this grand idea that they can't see it. This is this dude right here. This is Ubisoft right here. And I'm like, the end game is about giving players the opportunity to resell their items. Like, this has been going on already. Steam does it. Like, we've been reselling, or at least maybe not reselling stuff that's in the game, but reselling things that Steam makes available or a company makes available because they make it that way. You don't need NFTs to do this. If you want to sell stuff, that's fine. If you want people to be able to sell stuff, that's fine. You don't need NFTs to do it. There is something more you guys are looking for that you're not really trying to tell people, but you're over here saying gamers really believe it's first destroying the planet like it's... I don't know if that's a comment about genuinely or like, nah, it's not first destroying the planet. It's doing something else for it. Like, it's doing great things first. Destroying the planet stuff we can take care of. No. The NFTs are problematic. NFTs are unnecessary. You don't have to do any of this blockchain, all this stuff. You don't need to implement these things to be able to have a marketplace where people can exchange goods. The bottom line is just one big fundamental problem with NFTs, even in a game like Ghost Recon Breakpoint. What happens when no one else is playing the game or the game ceases to exist? All those NFTs don't mean jack anymore. And you're either stuck with what you got, or, I mean, maybe you made off well with it. But there's so many fundamental base problems with having NFTs in the game. It just doesn't make any sense. There needs to be things outside of a specific game in order to make a marketplace work.
Yep. Let me sell you back my digital game, Ubisoft. Then we'll talk.
Oh, you won't be able to do that because they still own the rights to that. Oh, no, they're never giving up that. Oh, God, no.
But I have the receipt, sir.
Yeah.
I have the receipt.
But the NFT, no. Look at the terms of service. It's ridiculous.
Yep.
What happens to the NFTs is the same thing that happens to everyone that bought microtransactions in Hyperscape and now can no longer access those microtransactions because that game is dead.
Man. Yeah, we all forgot about that game until they said they were closing it.
Yeah. Yeah, I hate that approach. I hate the approach of just being like, "Oh, y'all are stupid. Sorry, y'all don't get it. Y'all will get it eventually."
It's the worst way to get us to like it, correct?
Right.
That's by far the worst way to get us to
Yeah.
like it.
When we've lined our pockets enough that we move on from this and on to the next fad or thing that we decide to, that's when y'all will get it because, we'll have moved on and we'll agree with you. Yeah, they're stupid at that point. But the thing is that I have the biggest problem with is this like this interview. I think it's on like a website that has like a cryptocurrency thing where they cover cryptocurrency exclusively. And this guy, Chris Stead, is the interviewer, and he asks the most like not even softballs. They're literally just like, "Here's a home run, just like tap it, and here you go." It's like he asked the question. The most cynical feedback I've read from gamers has pointed to this all being a ploy to line Ubisoft's pockets with more money. But you see it being about creating a deeper player engagement experience. And then they say yes. Like, okay, like that's all they have to say now. Like you just answered the whole question for them. You even gave them their like it sounds like they just wrote the questions for them and said, "This is all our talking points. Just go out and regurgitate them for us." But it sounds like that. But then also, he prefaces the whole interview by saying, "I've kept a close eye on the blockchain and NFT games over the last 4 years. I can see the potential the technology has to offer gamers greater freedom." It's just all such like they picked the most crypto NFT bro they could and said, "All right, yeah, you're going to interview this Ubisoft because they'll actually allow us to." And that just sucks for journalism as like a whole. Like this is not ethical journalism in any way at all. Like it sucks.
What I'm not. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I actually like the idea of like we were talking about with Steam. I like the idea of earning stuff that I could turn around and like give to someone or sell to someone or stuff like that. I actually like that idea. I just don't like the way that they're deciding to implement, as well as the talking down to gamers about it. Like I don't mind it if you just, as silly as it is, if you just implement it and don't talk about it and just let gamers just do what they will with it, then I don't care. So okay.
My thing is, I'm not gonna say in the future, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 years down the line, that the blockchain and will not have any use in games. I don't want to go that far. I'm not gonna say NFTs 10 years down the line, might get better over time, might have some more use, whatever the case may be. I get things can improve. But right now, there's no reason to implement NFTs as they are. There's no reason to use the blockchain as it is within games. It doesn't do anything. It only creates problems so far. And so, when Ubisoft is talking like this, I feel like if we don't get it, then in your interview, even if the questions are teed up for the home run, you should be helping us understand why it matters, why it should work for us, why it can work for us. Oh, you get to resell items. What happens when the game dies? Then what? What happens when people stop playing your game? And this is why I don't know enough about NFTs to comment on them specifically, but I look at just the fundamental problems of reselling stuff within a game. If that game dies, that's it. Any of that money you make, it's like the stock market. It's like that's what you get. Yeah, you're done. You can't sell or buy anymore. You are stuck with whatever you got because there's nobody else to do anything with it. Can you imagine if Hyperscape had NFTs? I'm not, to be fair to Ubisoft, I'm not sure they would put it in a game that doesn't have a lot of players in the first place, but you understand what I'm getting at. Like, the moment people leave, like, it starts to disrupt the marketplace in a way that's just not fruitful.
Yeah.
In all fairness, that game could have had NFTs in it. None of us would know.
It's true, yeah.
Yes. I get that.
The thing about it is that I think, 10, 15 years down the line, I don't think that any of these game companies that want to implement it have any interest in furthering the technology or making it better in terms of integration with games. They have no like desire to do that. They want to get in, cash out, and use that money to pad the lines of their like executives' pockets. They're like, and that sucks.
Of course. And they're trying to sell it like, oh, but you can get benefit from it too.
Yeah.
Imagine all those hours of you playing Warzone. Imagine if you can make a little money back at the same time. It would make it feel more worth it. I'm like, dude, like that's not even the point of why we play games. Like, this is diluting the joy, the recreation of games. I thought you were about to say something, David. So,
I was gonna say I wouldn't mind earning money that way.
Sure,
but it should always be something that's optional, and your game experience is not revolving around it. And that's the problem. Is it seems more like we want the entire experience to revolve around this.
I agree, because I went to the Rams-Niners game, and my wife is the one who bought the tickets. She forwarded me an email. They sent us like this commemorative digital ticket,
I think I read about that.
And it's an NFT. And so I was like, oh, God. She was like, oh, this is the NFTs you guys were telling me about. And so I click on it. The first thing it does, it's not that I received this commemorative voucher. I'm immediately sent to a marketplace. Like, that's what NFTs, like, that's all people think about with NFTs. It's immediately buying or selling these things. And I'm like, could I have gotten a physical, like, something, please? Like, I don't give a flip about NFTs. The first thing it did was send me to a marketplace. Like, that's, I feel like if owning a digital good for me,
so
I don't actually own this thing, because if I had this physically, like, I could just have it. I could hang it on my wall. I can do whatever I want with it. You know, I could sell it if I wanted to. With this, it seems like the whole purpose of it is to sell it. And that just seems stupid.
Pretty much.
I'm not going to keep this digital thing because I can't do anything with what. I'm going to make it with wallpaper. It just, it devalues the piece already, because you can't do anything else with it except sell it. And that is another fundamental problem with the way NFTs are set up.
AMC actually did when you bought Spider-Man tickets, the first 82,000 people got it, and they sent me one of them, which I promptly sold for $140 because I'm happy to take some sucker's money for something that I can right-click and save if I really, 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 really wanted it.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to do that because I'm an honest person.
It's just not yet outlawed money laundering is all it is. And that's what everyone's using it as. Yeah. Like all these like weird monkey, like the ape stuff that people are just like.
That makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
I don't get why everybody is on that fad.
They're just
but
backing out, destroying their Discord servers, destroying all record of all of it happening, and then $256 million just disappear out of nowhere. It's just
the same thing, the same way I felt with fidget spinners.
Yeah. Except way worse, arguably.
I feel like fidget
spinners
the
plastic might be pretty bad. I don't know.
And then GameStop apparently just launched a marketplace for NFTs too. So this might be the first time I've seen them get in on a fad before it was over. Trust me, I know. I had to count all those fidget spinners we never sold.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right, let's do our apples to apples segment. This is the segment where we talk about the games that we have been playing, but we use 3 words for everybody in order to guess a feeling that they may have had, or, you know, whatever word that we can use to try to gain a points. So, David, what have you been playing?
Well, I am super tired, and part of that is because I played the crap out of Dying Light 2. I did not get all 500 hours into it because we were not sent the game with 500 hours before embargo.
Fair enough.
So, but I did finish it, and I did play a lot of it, and I have a really good feel for it.
All right, my 3 words for you are 500 hours, Dying Light Tonight, and Zombies Forever. Noah, what are your 3 words?
My 3 words are parkour. Dropkick never felt so good, and yeah, I got time.
All right. David, what should you choose?
This is a tough one. But I get the feeling you went with the Office reference with parkour, and an Office reference with me is almost always going to win.
All right,
Parkour.
there you go. Noah scoring.
Nice.
So if anybody is interested in more of Dying Light 2, if you go to gamingtrend.com right now, you can actually read our written review. We've also got a side-by-side comparison and the first 35 minutes worth of gameplay on our YouTube channel. Gave it an 85 out of 100. It's a whole lot of fun. Story can drag a whole lot at the beginning. It gets a bit better in the second part. It's definitely not what's dragging the story along. But man, just running around, the parkour system's incredible. The combat system's fun, and huge open world kind of. I compare it to Skyrim in our review, mainly because it's just that whole freedom of, yeah, I'm doing a story mission, but I could go over here and do this side mission or kill this zombie and do this thing and do that thing. And of course, the coolest other thing is 4-player co-op through the entire story. Only thing you have to do is play the first hour to get everything set up, and boom, you can do the entire game co-op.
Is that online co-op?
Online co-op, yep.
Nice. Very good.
And it runs great too.
Would you say the drop kick is better than Titanfall's drop kick?
That's a tough one because it's been a while, but this drop kick is straight up jump launch yourself drop kick.
Oh, yeah, that's better.
So yeah, it's really sweet. It's really sweet.
All right, fair enough. Noah, what game have you been playing?
I've been playing Sifu for review at gamingtrend.com also. Yeah.
All right. David, what are your 3 words?
Well, I decided to go with Miyagi Dope, kicking them old school, and geriatric. I can't really say this word really good, but geriatric Hyakuzuki, which is a karate term for a reverse punch where the non-lead hand is used.
Okay. So you over here putting in terms you don't even know how to say. My 3 words: getting old fast, it's good to be young, and unique. Noah, where do you choose?
I'm gonna go with Miyagi Dope. I'm a Cobra Kai fan, and that just hits pretty well.
Cobra Kai never dies.
Exactly. Because you can go with the kind of Miyagi-Do like style by playing Sifu. You can kind of just counter everything, let everything come to you and react, and that's great. But also, it's dope because you don't have to do that. You can fuse both styles of Cobra Kai and Miyagi-Do as you're supposed to. If you watch Cobra Kai, you know how it is. You know that you can only really find true balance if you do that. And Sifu lets you find that balance, and it makes you feel really good while doing it.
Just happy to have found a fellow Cobra Kai fan.
Yeah, Adam really likes it too. Rex Tano. But so there's like some really cool sequences. Like one of my favorites is when it does like an old boy type thing where it brings the camera out and you just see the hallway like horizontally, and you just walk down it and beat every single person up as you go down. It's like the Punisher does it, Daredevil does it, and it's like based on like what Old Boy did, which was an amazing movie. And it just makes you feel like a badass the whole way through. It's amazing.
So Sifu, if I am correct me if I'm wrong, is a roguelike or roguelite where the goal is to actually, as you progress and fail, you get older. So the goal is to actually stay as young as possible. Would this be a correct description?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. So there we go. Yeah, that premise alone has got me interested in the game. So I haven't even seen it yet.
It's super good because, like, instead of it being like, okay, if you get to 70 and you lose, you have to restart from the very beginning. It's more like, okay, if you get to the next level and you're like 28, then every time you go back to that level, you'll be 28 when you start that level. So it's like, it kind of saves your progress in that way. But if you want to go, okay, so when I got to the second level, I was like probably 50 because I was like struggling at the start. But then
that youthful ignorance.
Yeah, that's kind of how it's meant to be because it's like it's supposed to be kind of punishing until you learn it. So then I like kept going back and kept going back because I got to like the fourth level and I was like 60 something and I was like, oh, this is not going to work. So I have to go back and then I beat the first level finally and I was only like 28. And then I kept iterating on that a little bit more later on just for fun because the first level is pretty fun once you like master it. You can just like kind of breeze through it. But yeah, it's really fun in that way because it makes you want to master those levels because it gives you a goal. Like let's get to this level by like this age so that I can beat the game. It's really cool in that way.
Nice. I've been playing Windjammers 2. I haven't even played the first one, but I played Windjammers 2. Noah, what are your 3 words?
I don't know much about Windjammers 2. I looked at some screenshots real quick. But I want to say complex, fast-paced, and stylish.
All right. David?
I went with quirky because it certainly seems to have that going for it. Anime air hockey and frisbee or not frisbee.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, you two are tied.
I'm gonna lose based. I'm gonna lose based on that last one.
Frisbee. Wait, it should be frisbee or not to frisbee. I don't know. Whatever.
Just
I think I see what you're
enunciation.
I know what you're trying
enunciation.
To do. Yes, frisbee or not frisbee. Yes. I am going to do. I'm going to choose fast-paced from Noah. That's what I'm going to choose.
It is really fast-paced.
It is actually not fast-paced. That's the point I want to make. It is actually not that fast-paced. There's a lot of pauses in between because the scoring, the grabbing of the disc, and that could be because I'm not playing it entirely correctly, but the AI also seems to grab the disc and hold it, and there's a lot of charging going on and all this other stuff. So it is stylish. And it's got that anime kind of feel to it in the sense that makes it feel like it's faster than it is, but it's really not. It can have moments where it goes back and forth really fast, but it'd be like, imagine if you were playing Pong, and every once in a while, maybe you can activate a boost or, do a very specific thing that makes the ball go faster. And so it stays fast for a little bit, but then you could also grab it to slow it down if you wanted to. So there's actually a nice fluctuation of speed, which, that can really mix things up. It feels like a fighting game, which is weird. There are several different controller combinations, like a fighting game. It's kind of weird, and it's really off-putting because it feels like a game that should be as simple to play like Mario Tennis because you're essentially just throwing a frisbee, right? But you can do almost like forward AB type of like it's like weird kind of combinations. They're not that complicated, but there's so many different moves you can do. It's daunting, and all they do is have a how to play where you just scroll through the screens and look at the different combinations you do, and then you just throw it in. There's no tutorial or anything. You just get in there and go. It feels very much like an arcade game. Hey, throw in your 50 cents and get to playing. That's how we gonna do this. It is fun. I just think it's overly complicated for the type of game it is. It's frisbee air hockey, and it really shouldn't be this complicated to play frisbee air hockey, but it's complicated to play frisbee air hockey. I can see why a lot of people enjoy it. I'm not really enjoying it. I'm going to stick with Knockout City for my playground type of game. That's how I feel about it. All right, that'll do it for our Apples to Apples segment. How much time we got? Do we got a little more time to dig back into the Destiny Bungie stuff? We got 5 minutes. We got 5 minutes. I got one question for you guys. Do you think Destiny can be turned into a successful TV show or movie? Noah, I'll let you take it. 2 minutes, Noah. Okay, you got 2 minutes. I know you can go forever.
If we're I think so. I think 100% it could be. It would require a pretty big budget to do it justice, but I think you could. Destiny has a really rich amount of lore to pull from, so you could really do so many things with it. But regardless, I think you could have a really good heart of the story with character stuff because there's tons of great characters. Cade 6 is one of the ones that I remember as being great, but a lot of his depth is lost in the actual game and the way it presented him. He's like got some really tragic stuff going on with him. Every character pretty much has that level of depth, and a movie could really do it justice. But a TV show, I think, would be even better in that regard. Also, anime is the way. I think they should do an anime because, you got Sony Pictures and they own Crunchyroll and Funimation. You got to do something with that, I think. You got to. Because, like, anime with the supers and, like, crucible matches and, just think of, like, the monologues that a Guardian about to use his super would give. Like, he would go off, and then he would use, like, Nova Warp and then just phase across everyone. It fits into, like, the world of, like, anime so well, so nicely. I think you got to. I think they could easily find success as a movie and a TV show either way. I think Uncharted is going to find success. However you define success is, different, but it will find monetary, like, success in that way. And I think Destiny would be an even better fit because you can just go wacky, you can go wild and crazy with it. Way more than you can with Uncharted.
David?
Biggest issue with a Destiny anime is that the Warlock would spend the entire episode charging his blast. Yeah. And then we would have to wait until the next episode.
Yeah.
While the Titan's like bullheading forward.
Anyway, I agree with Noah in that a movie sounds like fun, but a TV show in my mind fits it a lot better, mainly because I think it would fit the pacing really well, as well as it's a story you really need to tell over a much longer period than just 2 hours. I just don't think it fits into a single 2-hour slot. So I think putting it into like 45-minute long episodes would work really well for it. And you could turn it to, honestly, everything's going subscription based. You could probably get a pretty penny out of Netflix to do something with you for that. Or if Sony decides they want to do anything with their own, I mean, I wouldn't personally try to get into the streaming service myself, but having something like a Destiny TV show would help. So it'll be really, really interesting to see how that goes. But I think it could be done real well as a TV show.
I think it would best fit as a TV show, probably as an anime as well. My problem, and I think where it may not be as successful, not to throw shade at the Destiny bigness, but I don't think it's as big as Halo. I don't think it's as big as League of Legends, and that would create problems in who do you make this for? How far do we take this? What's the audience reach that we have with this? And I think that would be the biggest problem, mostly because also Destiny doesn't have a central character. And this is one of the biggest problems that people had with Watch Dogs Legion. Like, people had, were kind of iffy on the story, but the biggest complaint was there was no central character to tie everything in. I personally didn't have a problem with that, but a lot of people did, which would indicate to me that Destiny 2, or just Destiny in general, never really having a central character would be a problem. Not that you can't create a central character, or even just centralize it around, the Titan, the Warlock, and the oh my gosh, what's the other one?
Hunter.
Thank you, Hunter. You could do that, but I feel like people, for whatever reason, gravitate to a singular character that can bring it all, everything in, and they could fix that problem, but then they would have the audience reach problem as well, and I'm not sure that would be solvable because it's not as big as Halo. It's not as big as League of Legends. That's just the reality of the situation. It's big. It ain't that big.
You can't bring this topic up at the end because I could talk a lot more about this.
I'll give you one and a half more minutes. 1.5. Go.
Okay, so I just feel like the expanse of like the lore itself is so big that you could like make a really small low budget horror movie like focused on like a group of guardians like getting in, like holding off against the thrall for like a night or like something like that. Or you could do so much with it.
But what's the audience reach there? Who cares about Destiny beyond the people who care about Destiny?
You wouldn't even have to market it as a Destiny movie. You could be like, it could be like the Joker Joaquin Phoenix movie that you could just call like anything else, and you'd be like, okay, that's a good movie, or or that's a bad movie, but you're gonna go watch it anyways, or whatever. And I think in that way. And also, like, okay, Star Wars wasn't a huge IP when it came out. It was a movie that ended up captivating audiences. So
It just has to be good.
It just has to be good, and it has to pull in people. There has to be marketing money behind
It's
it.
the same
In
thing.
this day and age,
Halo's
there has to
facing
be
the
that
same
marketing.
thing. Halo is facing the exact same thing because, trust me, if that show is bad, people won't watch it.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh yeah,
absolutely. It would definitely be one of those things where if it was good, yes, it doesn't matter because word's going to get out that it's going to be good. So people would watch it. I think there's a lot of people who, don't have any ties to League of Legends who watched Arcane and were like, "Oh, I like this."
Yep.
So
yeah,
and that's where getting it on the right streaming service matters. Because, in all fairness, Paramount Plus, I know plenty of people have it. You get something like Destiny on Netflix. Netflix has a much larger reach than anybody right now when it comes to subscription service.
Yep.
So,
all right, that's it for us. Appreciate you listening. This is the Part Timers Podcast. A fun conversation today, so very enjoyable. Thanks for hanging with us. We'll talk to you later.